First appearances. They mean a lot to comic book collectors, especially if there's a debate over true first appearances versus canonical first appearances. Harley Quinn's first comic book appearance was in the Batman Adventures, based on the animated series. More recently, speculators bought out Batman number 89 for a cameo that purports to be the first appearance of Punchline. But what of someone more important to the Batman continuity? What about the current Robin, Damian Wayne, son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul? For that, we have to go back to 1987, when graphic novels were just coming into their own for this Mike W. Barr and Jerry Bingham treat. Batman, son of the Demon.
Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
Batman, Son of the Demon was one of the earliest graphic novels involving DC's Dark Knight. It came out around the same time as Batman the Killing Joke, and it answered the same need for grittier, more violent stories. In Son of the Demon, we open with a terrorist attack taking hostages, and the Gotham City Police Department are outside afraid to go in for fear of losing those hostages. But that's okay, because Commissioner Gordon knows they have a man on the inside, and indeed Batman does pretty much lay waste to the people inside, learning who their leader is, a man named Kane. But Batman is also critically injured during this time, and is helped back to the cave after he passes out on the streets by none other than Talia al Ghul, daughter of Ra's al Ghul. After his recovery, he's quick to get back out there and do his Dark Knight thing, which involves solving a recent murder, or at least getting involved in the investigation. That murder, of course, points to none other than Ra's al Ghul. Of course, because his daughter's in town. Meanwhile, we get our first look at the man called Kane. Kane is very muscular, very much a Bane prototype, and he is one of the more violent villains that we have met in the Batman continuity up to this point. We can see that he's using his physical strength to crush his enemies, literally, and this is a signature move he uses throughout the book. Upon arriving at Ra's al Ghul's hideaway in the mountains, Batman confronts him about the murder, and Ra's, of course, says that he has nothing to do with it. But Batman has other questions as well. He wants to know about this man named Kane and his connection to Ra's al Ghul. Well, Ra's does know about Kane, and nearly gets into a fight with Batman for bringing up the name. Ra's has a history with Kane. Kane blames Ra's al Ghul for murdering his parents, and Ra's blames Kane for the death of his wife, Melisandre. Realizing they have a common enemy in Kane, Batman agrees to work with Ra's al Ghul to bring this terrorist to justice. While he's staying with the League of Assassins, we are reminded that in a previous story, Batman and Talia al Ghul were married. Batman says he did not consent to the marriage, but Talia reminds him that, under their customs, only the consent of the bride was necessary, so legally, on their soil, they are man and wife. This apparently is good enough for Bruce Wayne because he's going to spend his time in Talia's bed, doing things that people who are man and wife often do. And the result of that is usually conception. Congratulations, it's a baby. Talia lets him know this later on in the story, and for once in his life, Bruce Wayne is happy. However, shortly after this moment, Kane and his men decide to mount an attack on Ra's grounds. And in so doing, Batman nearly loses his life because he's more concerned about protecting Talia, and Talia realizes this. After the battle, he's taking her to the doctor to make sure she is okay, and visiting her later, she says she's fine, but she lost the baby. This is now personal for Batman, and he is out for blood. When Ra's al Ghul and Batman finally do track Kane down, it becomes a fight to the death, as Kane is determined to take Ra's out of the picture once and for all. But just as he's about to deliver the death blow, Batman intercedes, sending Kane into an electrical circuit that fries the man. This is the coldest we've seen Batman ever in the Batman continuity up until this point in time. He had not always been quite the grim and gritty crusader that we see him today. And when Ra's al Ghul says that perhaps Cain has finally found peace, we are chilled when Batman dips his finger in Cain's dripping blood and draws the Q on his cheek that was Cain's signature carving on his previous victims, and says, "I hope not." Upon returning to Ra's al Ghul's fortress, Batman is turned away by Talia, who says she would rather be alone now and wants him to go back to Gotham City. Batman says he understands, but is visibly heartbroken. He returns to his hometown and then solves the murder that we started at the beginning of the book, with the actual culprit being somebody we did not see the entire time. But the resolution of the murder is not what is important here. No, what you need to pay attention to is the very special epilogue, which takes place with the heading 9 months later. And if you're like most people, when you hear the term 9 months later, you know exactly what that refers to. In this case, it refers to a child showing up at the doorstep of an orphanage and being adopted by a couple who have been looking for a baby. But this is not just any baby. This baby comes with a provenance. That provenance is a very special, ornate necklace, which, if you were paying attention, you saw was the very same necklace Bruce Wayne gave to Talia after she announced she was pregnant. This is your first appearance of Damian Wayne, the son of Batman and Talia, and it was completely consensually conceived, no matter what sort of fever dream Grant Morrison may have come up with to explain the current version of Damian Wayne. In closing, I found it particularly interesting the way that Batman and Ra's al Ghul worked together. This was back in the day when they were adversaries, but they had a mutual respect for each other. Here, Ra's sees Batman not only as a worthy opponent, but as a worthy successor for his organization, as a son even, and refers to him as such. Now, this book has some fantastic characterization from superscribe Mike W. Barr, who always knew how to give depth to the characters in Batman's universe. The artwork also, both cover and interior, really sells this work and is some of Jerry Bingham's finest. Hi, thanks for stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification of when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this video. We hope you had a blast.